So now that we know how to find the slope and the rate of change from various representations, now we need to be able to compare those rates of change in various representations. Okay? So the first thing we need to do is to find that rate of change. And then we're going to compare those rates of change. And when we do so, I'm going to put an asterisk here and tell you, make sure you use the absolute value. Okay, that's important. We have 8 examples here, so we need to find the slope from each of these, or the rates of change from each of these. So J does 4 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups. This is a proportional relationship. So 3 push-ups for every 4 sit-ups. Here, K does 8 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups. So this is going to be 3 to 8. And then looking at this one is going to be proportional. And every time I divide y by x, this will be a 3 to 4 relationship here. The next one, the next table, is also proportional. So my rate of change here is 8 to 5. This one, my rate of change is 1/2. Here, my rate of change is 4/3. And here, if I look here, my vertical side is a 1. My horizontal side is a 2, so my rate of change there is 1 to 2. And then last one, this one is proportional, and it may begin as 4 to 4, but that's going to simplify to 1. So then my challenge to you is to put these in order on this line from the least steep to the most steep. So the smallest one, that might be the easiest for you to identify. It's not 1/2. There's one smaller than 1/2. It's going to be 3/8. Then, if you'll notice, I have this one is 1/2, as well as this one is 1/2. So these two go in the same place here. Both of these have a rate of change of 1/2. After 1/2, it's not going to be 4/3. That's more than 1, and I've got to get to 1 first, so I'm not there yet. So there's one that will fit in between. And you are correct. That would be the 3/4, and there's 2 of them, so we're going to put those beside each other. So this one had a rate of change of 3 to 4, and as did this one. So then what would go next? Would it be 4/3, 8/5, or 1? Okay, if you'll notice, this is more than 1, this is more than 1. So 1 is the one that needs to come next. Rate of change. And it began as 4/4 and simplified to 1. All right, we got 2 left. 4/3 or 8/5. Which one needs to go next? If you change them into decimals, that might help you compare them more easily. So this is 1 point repeating 3, And this one is 1 and it goes to 4. Exactly, that's a terminating decimal. So the one that's going to go next is this one with a rate of change of 4/3. And then that leaves us last, the one that has the rate of change of 8/5. Now what this example does not speak to is if we're dealing with negatives. So I want to review with you again, we've talked about it in class. If we were having to compare a rate of change of -4 versus a rate of change of 2. Now, if we compare just the straight numbers, -4 versus 2, and I asked you to place a less than, greater than, or equal to symbol between them, you would say -4 has less value than +2, which would be true. However, back to this that I added right here, using the absolute value. When we're comparing the rates of change and which one has a more steep rate of change or a greater rate of change, we don't use that. We use the absolute value of those numbers. So I'm going to put these in absolute value symbols. And comparing the absolute value of -4, that's 4. And then comparing that with the absolute value of 2, that's 2. Which one has a greater absolute value? That would be this one. Okay? So make sure you're using the absolute value to compare your rates of change. That's all I have for today. Thanks for watching.